Welcome to Faith, Love, and Therapy, a podcast to encourage and inspire. I'm your host, Jamie Johnson, a clinical therapist working in the field of mental health for the last 10 years. I believe this podcast is God-inspired and will be God-led, and I thank you for joining me as we peel back the layers of mental health from a faith perspective. I hope that you're connecting with me on Instagram on Faith, Love, and Therapy Podcast. You can follow the Instagram page where I have reminders about content, and just some things for our mental health to remember to care for ourselves and also mind, body, and soul. So connect with me on IG. Also, you can email me at faithloveandtherapy@gmail.com, and I look forward to hearing from you when you do reach out. All right, so we are episode 28 today, and we've talked about in the last couple of episodes some pretty heavy emotions, and I wanted to kind of pull it together with this particular topic because last time we talked about grief, and prayerfully you are starting to work through some of the areas that are heavy and that have that you've been grieving, or maybe you've buried and not allowed yourself to grieve. And so this particular episode, I just want to kind of talk about healing like after loss. And this was specifically from a perspective at first from healing from divorce, but I wanted to talk about it in general in regards to loss, but it's going to line up with healing from divorce because that is originally where the content came from. And I talked with the singles at my church about healing from divorce, and had a dialogue with my pastor and first lady and some other women, other people, it wasn't just women, and it was a great dialogue. But I wanted to share on the podcast some of the thoughts about healing from loss with you all. So we're going to dive into that for a little bit. And one of the first things that come up that I thought about in regards to healing from loss is the honesty that's necessary, that is like needed when you need to be honest about what you feel. And so many of us, and I talked about it a little bit last episode, many of us want to suppress, we want to ignore, we want to avoid, we want to move on, we just want to bury it, we don't want to deal. And so one of the first things we have to do is really be honest about how we feel about what we've experienced. So the hurt, the shame, the feeling angry, feeling relieved even maybe, feeling uncertain, feeling worried, feeling disappointed, being able to be honest with what you feel is necessary, and allowing yourself to be transparent about everything that comes up in you is important. So once you've experienced a loss in any way, and we talked about last episode that loss could be across the board, whether you've lost a home, you've lost a relationship, you've lost someone has passed away, you've lost the life that you expected to have, whether it's through an accident or disability. That's a loss. So being able to be honest and allow yourself to be transparent about what comes up in you, what you experience emotionally, is important. And then working through it in a way that you're not, or that you're observing but not criticizing. So allow yourself to feel what you feel, observe what you feel, be transparent about what you feel, but don't criticize what you feel, because that's what we tend to do. Like, I don't need to feel like this is stupid. I'm done with this. Don't criticize the things that come up in you, because you need to know what's coming up in you, because if not, it's going to be buried in you, and it's going to manifest in different ways. It's going to manifest in more controlling behavior. It's going to manifest in disconnect and emotional detachment or depression. It manifests in different ways when we don't process it, or we're not transparent about what's coming up in us and we try to bury it. So don't allow yourself to process, but don't criticize yourself with what you start to feel. Another thing I would say is become aware of safe spaces and safe people. Being able to evaluate your relationships and know that you have relationships that will change with the losses that you experience. So if you've been through a divorce, you may not have the same friend circle, because some may be friends with someone else, your partner, or that your ex. So things may change. If you have experienced a death, or you've lost a job, those relationships at that workplace may end. And yes, people will say, well, that wasn't a real relationship. That wasn't a deep relationship. Maybe not, but you're still going to go through a process of feeling something, and being honest about what you feel is necessary. So being able to look at the relationships and finding safe people that you can share with and be honest with about what you feel. Also recognizing that God is probably the safest space, but he's not the only space. He's the only one with the complete capacity to hold it all. Okay. There's not a person on the earth that can hold it all and be okay. But there are a lot of people that can be a great support in your process and can handle some of the things. And so allowing those people to be the safe space for you. And for the things that are too heavy, the things that you're not ready to share, those things, being able to process those and sit with God and know that he has the capacity to handle everything that you're experiencing, even the things that you think are ungodly. And I think that's what gets in the way too of us communicating what we feel. It's just like, God is not pleased. One, we need to stop speaking for God because we don't know. Like, allow God to tell you what he thinks about what you feel. Because what I'm learning is that he wants to hear it no matter what. He wants to have a relationship where I am completely honest and vulnerable with him. And even in my honesty, I may apologize and say things like, well, God, I know this is not what you want from me, but this is what I feel, and I believe that he honors that and he teaches me how to deal with that. But if I'm trying to pretend I'm not experiencing something that I know, he doesn't want me to experience, God isn't going to do anything with the lie. He's going to deal with the truth. So being authentic about what you feel is important, and he can handle it. He can truly handle it. Also, your environment matters. Being able to process in a space that is safe, that is healthy, that is where you feel comfortable. I remember after my divorce, home didn't feel like home, even though it was my house, in the sense of I had purchased it before we were married. But home didn't feel the same. And so making some transitions for me that I needed to make so that I could be in a space that felt like home, that I could process, that I could be honest, that I could deal with. And so also that means you have to start looking at what you're holding on to and why you're holding on to it. When we've experienced loss, we want to hold on to things. I don't know if y'all, some of y'all probably watch the show Hoarders, which is a mental health issue. Many of them, if you talk to them or if you watch the episodes, and I don't watch them that often, but from time to time, there's always a trauma or a loss involved. And often, the traumas encapsulate some type of loss. And it's a response to the fear of losing, not wanting to lose. And so not wanting to experience the trauma, not wanting to feel unsafe. And people begin to accumulate things. They begin to surround themselves with things that make them feel safe and at home, reminds them of the life they used to have. There's a process where they start to, just gather, because we've seen them, and some of them, it's not even stuff they can use. Some of it's trash. They won't even throw trash out, but they don't want to get rid of or lose anything else. And so being able to evaluate, why am I holding on to this? Well, I'm afraid of losing anymore. I've lost so much. I don't want to lose anything else. And that kind of goes back into the last episode about grief. We've got to process our losses. We've got to process our pain and our grief because it begins to manifest. It turns into something else, y'all. I keep saying feelings are seeds. It will turn into something else. And so when we're not honest about what it is, we manifest, we start to show up differently. We start to, become anxious, or we acquire these addictions. And addiction is not just drugs and alcohol. Addictions, food, sex, all types of addictions develop. Power and control, all types of addiction will develop because we're not creating the space to really process what we truly feel. Another thing that I would say is we have to be ready when there's a loss, and we're talking about healing from loss of any kind. We have to then be ready and have the desire. We have to get to the space of truly wanting to heal, and wanting to heal completely. So we're not holding grudges, and we're learning to forgive ourselves. I think forgiving ourselves is hard. One, because we don't often pay attention to that. We pay attention to what or who has hurt us versus rather than what we have done or what we've allowed or what we ignored, why we allowed certain things to go on for for so long, we have to get to the space of healing, of allowing ourselves to forgive ourselves. That's an important process of healing. We cannot jump over that or forget that. And so be ready to release. It requires a willingness to reflect. And that's what we do a lot on this podcast. I ask you to reflect. I ask you to, start journaling. I ask you to look at stuff. Look in the mirror, y'all. We've got to look in the mirror. We've got to look at what happened. We've got to look at what we experienced. We have to look at what we ignored. We have to look at the decisions that we made. Why did we make the decisions that we made? Why did we say the things that we said? Why did we allow the things that we allowed? How did we handle issues? If we're talking about the loss of a relationship, or if we're talking about healing from divorce, how did we handle pain points in our relationship? What did we say? What didn't we say? Why? There are a lot of things that we have to really look at and do the work. And if we're going to have a healthy relationship again, or a healthy, the next phase of our life is healthier than it is now, we have to be willing to look in the mirror and do the work. We have to be willing to be honest about what has gone on in our life, what we've experienced, and what is still holding us bondage in some senses, in some aspect. Also, asking God to examine our heart. Like in this process of healing, ask God to examine your heart, show you. Like, God, show me is a prayer that I've had often. Show me the stuff in me that needs to come out. Show me the stuff that's keeping me from getting better, keeping me from healing, keeping me from changing, keeping me from moving to the next level in you. Show me those things and show me how to change and how to be better and how to feel better. And God will begin to, I promise you, if you are authentic and asking God and you are submitted and truly being honest with the Father, He will begin to show you areas where He wants you to change. He will begin to highlight certain situations or moments or even people that need to be addressed. He will show you how to begin feeling better in this new season. And so moving forward or healing after a loss requires a whole lot of reflection. It requires a whole lot of honesty. It requires being able to sit with uncomfortable feelings, but then also being able to recognize and experience God. When we are healing, the process of worship, prayer, reading His word for the believer is necessary. It's necessary throughout our entire lifespan, but we have to really hone in after we've lost or we've been hurt or we've experienced a significant trauma. We have to really dial in to the Father, and through worship, through prayer, and through reading His word. And so asking God for Him to do the work on the inside requires us to get to a place of surrender and positioned for Him to do that so He can heal and deliver. Continue journaling through the process, watching and listening for God, like really watching and listening for God in moments of your life where you start to see the change. Self-reflection is also a way to really honor God, because if you allow yourself to reflect on the growth and then give God the glory for all of the things that He's done and shifted and changed and made better in your life, that's an opportunity really to love on God in a major way. And then it also helps you to silence the chatter of expectations of others. And that's something that has to happen. Begin to silence the chatter of the expectations of other people for what you should be doing, how you should be doing, when you should be doing it. All of that has to get quiet. And so if you're going to heal, sometimes you're pulling away. Sometimes you are a bit more isolated. And, a lot of people say there's a lot that happens in isolation. There is a lot that happens in isolation. When you are intentional about getting better and healing and allowing God to do a healing in you, you're going to be quieter. You're going to be more reflective. You're going to be more transparent. People aren't going to see you as much because you're trying to be in a position where you do not miss God and where you are hearing from Him in a way that you've never heard from Him before, so that you can truly process that pain, so that you're not acting in a way that is not like you, so that you are not becoming someone that you don't want to become. And so I think that the process of really beginning to heal after a loss is it takes a bit of time, but it's so necessary. It is so very necessary. And, I just want to, there's this particular poem that I want to end this episode on, because I think it is, I I don't know. I just think it's wonderful, and it's a great expression about healing. This one is specifically called "She Let Go," and I think the author is Reverend Sapphire Rose. And I've had this poem since about 2013. But I'm going to read this on my way out. So, she let go. She let go without a thought or a word. She let go. She let go of the fear. She let go of the judgments. She let go of the influence of opinions swarming around her head. She let go of the committee of indecision within her. She let go of the right reasons. Wholly and completely, without hesitation or worry, she let go. She didn't ask anyone for advice. She didn't read a book on how to let go. She just let go. She let go of all of the memories that held her back. She let go of all of the anxiety that kept her from moving forward. She let go of the planning and all of the calculations about how to do it just right. She didn't promise to let go. She didn't journal about it. She didn't write the projected date in her day timer. She made no public announcement, put no ad in the paper. She didn't check the weather report or read her daily horoscope. She just let go. She didn't analyze whether she should let go. She didn't call her friends to discuss the matter. She didn't utter one word. She just let go. No one was around when it happened. There was no applause or congratulations. No one thanked her or praised her. No one noticed a thing. Like a leaf falling from a tree, she just let go. There was no effort. There was no struggle. It wasn't good. It wasn't bad. It was what it was. And it is just like that. There is only one guru. That is you. And I wanted to read that because we have to get to a place of readiness to really surrender. And really let go of the expectations, really let go of the things that are keeping us bound. And in order to do that, we have to be honest. We have to feel what we feel. We have to make a decision, and we have to let God do the healing. So I just thank you for taking the time to listen in on another episode of Faith, Love, and Therapy, and I will see you next time.